if a friend is sick or going through, cancer treatment or something like that, figuring out what does that friend actually need in that moment. I found out from personal friends that soft things are extremely important when they're going through treatments. So shifting my mindset to like fuzzy socks, soft socks or pants, that they can, be comfortable in. Super small, but actually really impactful.
All right, everyone, welcome to Friday Conversations. This is a weekly live conversation where we slow things down just enough to think clearly, listen well, and wrestle with the questions that actually matter in real life and in business. All right, Dave, we're going to kick it over to you. Have you introduce everyone to us?
It's great to see you guys. Glad you could all be here. We have some new people.
We do.
Which is kind of exciting.
Very exciting.
I'm Dave Ribble from Standout Mastery. If you're ever in a situation where you really need some additional help in communicating, connecting, and collaborating for your business, I would love to coach you. That's what I do. Steven, tell us about you.
I will. Hey everybody, my name is Steve Hicks. I run Thriving Body Holistic Fitness, and I provide personalized, customized fitness maps for people to reach their destinations. And I'm obsessed about long-term 5-year results.
All right. Hello, everyone. Rob Ritter here with Edic Designs. I like to see technology that works for business, not against business. So I sit down and listen to business goals and help them match their technology to their goal.
Listen.
I am Melissa Biron with Thrive Wellness, and I am a metabolic stability coach. I help people with what's really going on the inside of their bodies and how to help them move forward in their own life.
Nazira, welcome.
Hi, Nazira with Compassion Catering LLC. I scratch make allergy-friendly catering for weddings, private events, live auctions, memorial services. Just really dive into a customized menu or one of our menus to elevate the experience with really good quality food.
Really glad you're here. Jeremy, welcome.
Hey, my name is Sherman. I work with a damn, this is not awful. This
You're good. You're good.
I run the web development company here in Spokane, Fulton Phase. I like doing business to business solutions and tools, websites, SEO, AI integrations to help your business. And yeah.
And tell us your name again.
German Nunez.
German.
Yeah.
Okay, I had it wrong. I'm sorry.
I'm Leonidas Biron, and I currently manage my mother's social media. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. I'm Jonathan Biron. I sell real estate and host this and just kind of like to dabble with how do we bring people together. For real estate, I love the in-person aspect of helping people navigate usually the biggest purchase of their life. So if you're thinking about getting into real estate, either you want to be a realtor, you want to flip houses, you want to own your first house, whatever it is, if it has to do with real estate, I would love to get to know you and find out how I can help serve you in that capacity. Zane?
Yeah, I am Zebrago Zane. I help small businesses. If you're, especially in the trades, plumber, electrician, HVAC, handyman, you don't want to answer customer calls, and we do. So let us answer those calls, get people scheduled, and you can focus on getting your work done.
Fantastic. What are we going to talk about today?
Dave, who are you?
I said earlier that I'm Dave from Standout Mastery.
Tell me a little bit more about Standout Mastery.
Well, what we do is we work with professionals to help them get over the edge of not being comfortable speaking in front of groups or going in and networking and trying to figure out who they are speaking to. We cover all of that. We go a little bit deeper than the typical networking kind of process where people just say, hi, how are you? Let's talk next Tuesday. We go into it deep because we're also teaching skills in terms of follow-up. And there's a whole science to that as well. So Dave Ribble, Standout Mastery, thank you for the plug. Appreciate it, John.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Thank you all for being here. Very excited. We are constantly iterating this thing. We want it to be something that is useful and helpful. And we want to, the goal is to elevate each other. And so we've worked with technology. We have more tech involved in this than any networking meeting ought to have involved in a face-to-face gathering. And so we're trying to figure out how do we blend tech but keep it genuine and real. And one of the things that we're working on for this year is our flow from week to week, from month to month. And so this week is the second Friday of the month where we focus on giving back, volunteering, donating. How do we give back to our community? How do we give back to the people that maybe helped get us to where we are? And so for this month of January, we're going to focus on more of a talk about how do we make this year a good year to serve that purpose, right? Like we don't want to just spend the next 12 months talking about giving back and having great guests. I mean, those are all good things, but how do we actually move the needle? So this week we're going to talk about giving back. So on a personal level, I want to talk about like, how can I give back more? How can each one in the room give back more or give back in a more meaningful way, right? Like it always feels like it comes across as like, you're not giving enough. And I think that feeling is, we always feel that even when we're talking to somebody, we really believe in their mission. It's like, oh, now I feel like I'm not giving enough of my time, of my money, of my space. So kind of just on a personal level, talk about things that we've discovered where it's like, man, this rhythm really works for me. And I want to encourage you guys to think about doing it. Or I'm actually really struggling with that exact problem. I'd love to hear some thoughts from other people and what they're doing. Beyond that, I want to talk about this group as we meet, next month is February. We're second Friday of February. That's a tongue twister. That's going to come. What do we do that month? What are we doing as a group to enhance the ability of our community to give back, to do we put up more opportunities for nonprofits to have a stage? Do we do a fundraiser as a group? Like, what are some ideas that we as a group can do to give back more this year? So that's kind of what I want this conversation today to be about. And as I was kind of explaining before we started the cameras rolling, we never know where the conversation goes. We want to stay generally on that topic, but as we go, it's just kind of like, let's feel out where we're all at. You all got a chance to introduce yourselves, but if you, as you're sharing, if you want to just really quick remind everybody what your name is. We don't need to jump into all of what you do, but just, hey, I'm Jonathan, and this is kind of where my head is, if it makes sense. Like I said, we're still experimenting with how all that works, but, and we also have our cameraman today. Leonidas is going to also record. So we're recording here and recording there. Don't mind the man behind the curtain. So don't focus your energy to the conversation, to the thing. And just be aware that there are two different camera angles potentially for this.
Look at that one.
And we want Leonidas to participate. So whenever we get to that point, we'll awkwardly spin the camera around and look at him.
Leonidas usually brings us some sort of very intelligent remark. And it's on the heels of something I said.
That's the old, what's that, the assist.
Yeah.
The assist, yeah.
I think where my mind goes as far as like personally, there's definitely been times where I felt like, how can I serve more in my community or just even the people I know personally? The reason why I have kind of turned my attention to that is because there are times when, there's organizations, big scale things that you can give money to, but you don't exactly know where that money is actually going, or you're not seeing it firsthand. So, very small examples, if a friend is sick or going through, cancer treatment or something like that, figuring out what does that friend actually need in that moment. I found out from personal friends that soft things are extremely important when they're going through treatments. So shifting my mindset to like fuzzy socks, soft socks or pants, that they can, be comfortable in. Super small, but actually really impactful. And then, something that John and I have done is portion of what we get money wise, John's a realtor and I have my own business. Portion of that actually just goes straight to a separate bank account and we have named it storehouse. And then there have been personal friends that, you know, need a big ask. And we give a pretty sizable donation to that thing and bless them in a, you know, pretty impactful way. And that has been something that has really changed the way we look at our own finances. So as far as personally, that's kind of where my mind goes.
I like how you brought up,
What's your name?
oh yeah, I'm Zane.
Nice to meet
Thank you, Dave.
I'm all set. I forgot to say that. Anyway.
Yeah, can you ask, please?
Pick on her.
Fair. I like how you said focusing on what others need, because I think sometimes we get so excited about helping. And then how can I help? What, and not that we're making it about ourselves, but it kind of ends up that way where we're, well, these are my skill sets. This is what I can do. That's great. Is that needed? Is that going to be impactful for that individual
Yeah,
in that situation? So yeah, you could do a great job providing that service. And I think that's why this topic for today is great, is like, hey, what are our action items? What can we do to actually make an impact instead of sitting around and talking about all the cool things or yeah, what might be impactful, but we don't know because we haven't asked.
yeah.
Sarah, did you have something?
Yes, Nazira, hi. I really like kind of what Zane was saying. For someone like me, usually I didn't think I had much to give. And then I kind of used to give sometimes $5, $1 all the time off the freeway. And then I didn't really know where the money was going, kind of like what Melissa said. So the little things that I can do even was starting to get a case of water and always, especially in the summertime, trying to make sure I have it in my vehicle with just some granola bars, which at most maybe $10, $15. And then instead of maybe handing out just money all the time, because, you know, I still am on a nice budget. I know that at least the bare minimum, it's hot or, you know, everyone can use water. And so it made me feel a lot better as well. But also the person usually is way more excited to receive that water. And maybe even strike up a conversation if needed to just see if there's any potential prayers or things I can do to then maybe even assist like a coat in the back of the car, you know, something more on that surface. But for giving and specifically in the community, I've found it way more beneficial to try to have some items with me, water, food, or something nutritional, than just, I feel like it's so impersonal, specifically for me, if I don't even know the need to just hand, you know, some money. So,
I like that a lot. Yeah.
Well, I kind of have this idea. Oh, by the way, I'm also German, but my name's Steven. Sorry, the pun had to come.
It's
Like that. Anyway, back to the topic. I don't have ADD. I kind of dislike the term give back because it makes it feel kind of obligatory or that it's very focused on the direction. But I really love the spirit of just giving, right? Just focusing on that. And there's a lot of different ways when you have that as a focus. One, you're not trying to balance the scales, right? You're just trying to give, which opens up a world of possibilities. And I also think the idea of giving, it changes the directions. It could be to someone that's done something nice to you. It could be to a community that's done something nice to you. Or it could just be to some random person that you happen to come across because you just happen to come across them that day. And then another note that I usually have about giving is, you know, we all have some sort of talents, and people often call those gifts, and gifts are meant to be shared with others. So instead of just focusing on like, what are you good at and doing that, like, what are you good at and how can you share that with someone else? I, as you can tell from the glasses, read a lot. I tend to be pretty smart. So I recently, I decided that if I was gonna spend so much time reading health and wellness books, like I can also elevate other people in that same conversation. It doesn't sound as charitable, but one of my giving to the communities is I started a free fitness and wellness book club where free access, people can join in, and then I just we build a community that people appreciate, but then just get to share tips and new ideas and ways to implement a healthy lifestyle to improve other people. There's no like expectations of return on that. It's just I'm doing something that I'm good at that I do normally, and now I'm just sharing it.
I like that. I like that reframe.
That's nice.
Yeah, I do want to just share real quick, with Steve.
Step other.
Yeah. Thank you. No, you talk, and I think your book club is great, but even better, what you gave back last year to the community with your Godzilla run and all the updates. I felt that was even
There's
more.
a lot of entertainment and a lot of humor on that.
That's
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the term giving needs to be reframed from giving money to like you said, you could read a book and then share that. Like that's
Yeah.
still giving. That doesn't mean that you have to, here's $20.
Exactly.
Like it could be lots of things that isn't just giving away money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
And that-
fascinated by the idea of constantly seeing more and more of this needed. I don't know why we're not getting better at fixing things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true.
You know what I mean? I have one quick story and then I'll let Rob jump in. When my wife and when Gay and I lived in California, she had an experience prior to our getting together where there was an abusive situation. It's pretty serious. And so when we got together, we decided, well, okay, what can we do? Well, my wife's a singer and we lived in a neighborhood where we could actually go to neighbors. And we cooked up this opportunity to come to their house and sing Christmas carols to them, or just pick up an unwrapped gift for women and children.
Wow.
So we did the neighborhood thing a week earlier. And then when the night came, we had several of our ringer friends who are also really good singers come to the house, and we walked the neighborhood and brought back unwrapped gifts for women and children. And then we took them over to Haven Hills Home for Abused Women and Children. So what we found out in that process is that the last 2 weeks of every year, all of the corporate donations have already been gone through. But as the closer you get to Christmas or closer you get to New Year's, more incidents happen. And more moms and kids are pulled from their house to go hide. So they always welcomed our car filled with these gifts because they had already run through everything else that anybody else had donated. There's a ton of different ways to cook up things that you can do for people. So thank you, Rob. We are going to jump in.
No worries. And what your story did was just emphasize again something I heard in what Leonidas said and Zane and Nazira, is the importance for me in giving is having a curiosity. Because one of our tendencies is I think I know what I'm good at and I think I know what I can offer. And so I go out and offer it. And it completely falls flat with what.
I'm gonna interrupt, and just point out, he really does. Like Rob has an office hour Monday or Wednesdays and Saturdays where he's super great with tech solutions for small businesses. And he sits at Made with Love Bakery. And if
Oh,
you
wow.
come in with a problem, he will help you walk through that process and solve that. And that's something that he just kind of gives back to the Spokane small business community.
It's Tamar.
Yep, Tamar. And so what I have discovered, and this was reinforced with something, I learned through Dave, is just to really encourage the curiosity. That it's not about me, it's about them. So it's meaningful if I listen and they comment or they observe something and I'm going, that's something I can help with. then I have something to really give that's gonna be valued. And that's our important. It's not, as you're talking about, the money, you have no idea what happens to it, and even corporate gifts. They throw money at problems and not really knowing if that is the solution. But what we can do is we can actually get curious, listen, make notes, have a conversation and say, what's number one for you? And then I might not be able to solve it, but I may have a connection to
Yes.
somebody who can solve it for them. And if I can just be that referral partner to connect two people together, then I am still giving. I'm giving of my vast list of people or connections I have, and providing something that will really change the direction.
It's good. I want to take a quick station break because I just remembered, Rob, while you were talking, we're at Dry Fly right now. And we want to thank them for hosting us. And then also in collaboration, Dry Fly and Idic Designs, Rob Reuter is providing lunch for us. And we had a delicious flatbread pizza lunch, thanks to Dry Fly and Idic Design. So Rob, thank you. And thank you for sharing that. And something that I'm hearing in all of these thoughts and comments that I feel like I just have, like I'm bursting to, like, this is so huge. And it's going to be two things. One, it's going to be something you're already doing. And two, it's going to be a challenge to maybe increase your capacity to do it. And that's your attention. The thing that I keep thinking, and Nazira, what you were talking about, like when we see somebody, when we hear them, we show up and just listen, right? It's eye contact. It's you matter. When we give that, that's probably more than anything we could give. It's that mattering, like you matter, but the opportunity for me to give that to someone else is immense. And here's the challenge. Here's the thing that I'm even pushing back on myself. Our attention is so caught up in devices, in what do I like? It's just, it becomes very self-focused. It's just like we can be so consumed where we're giving our attention to, and you know, not to continue the theme of harping on corporations that throw money at things, but here we are, like they're spending a ton of money to get our attention, advertising, marketing. I mean, it's just like the noise out there. And then add to that the political discourse that's going on right now. There's so much noise. And Melissa and I talked last night because this recent incident that happened in Minneapolis, I am spun out about it. Like I am struggling to not give that thing all of my attention. Like it's troubling. And there's so many things that we could say about that. And I even preempted the group, like, we're not here to talk about those things, but talking about it as that temptation, that thing that wants to pull your attention a million different directions, when the most valuable thing you can do, especially you're married, you have kids, you have whatever your close unit is, like those people need your attention. And here in our community, right? Like Nazira, your example of like, you're driving and you see somebody on the street corner, like, I'm not going to say they need your attention, but like the ability for you to just be present in whatever moment it is huge. And it's so easy to get drawn into the things that want to compete for our attention. So that
on like the opposite side of that, I think one of the worst forms of torture we can do to people is put them in isolation, right? And I think especially in like the digital age, it's so common for people to ghost each other. Like that's a cultural norm now. Yeah. And anyone that's ever been ghosted for whatever reason, like you know that experience, you know what it's like to not have attention given. So just to strengthen your points, one of the easiest but most impactful things we can give is attention to others.
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges with that though too is, and kind of along the same line is, okay, if I start to give my attention, sometimes there can be that fear of, okay, well, what if they need something that I can't provide? And then so you kind of start second guessing. So it's like, Right, I want to help and I want to see what I can do. It might not even be someone in need necessarily, but even, everybody has something that they're struggling with or has a need. So am I the right person to give that attention? And so kind of overcoming that too, right? Of
Yes.
like, how do I get beyond what I feel like my limitations are?
Corporate. I called one day, I was really curious, this is years and years ago, but it was the United Way hitting me up for a donation. And I went back to their little regional headquarters over the phone and I just said, can someone tell me what percentage of this is going to actually get to the people that need it? Let me put you on hold just a second. They put me on hold several times with other people trying to answer the question. And I finally learned that they said somewhere between 12 and 15%. Because the rest of it's administrative.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how many people know that, but it's pretty small.
But that's why, for any number of reasons, that's why I'm a big advocate for small business owners. Because, the corporates have the advantage of organized structure. So they can dictate a direction and say, we're gonna do this, and then your job is to make it happen. Whereas small businesses tend to, can I use the phrase like herding cats?
Yeah.
Trying to get them all moving in the same direction. But the difference is that what they deliver is more personalized and individualized, and it, generally hits the mark better, as I said, because they don't have a lot of overhead that they have to be driving. They can focus on what do you need and what can I do to get it to you. And I think that's one of the missions I always have for being a part of this group, is to reinforce that as small business owners, we have a better capacity to make a difference, because we can be targeted at the need rather than just flooding, okay, it's here and look at how great we are for how much we've given. And sometimes it doesn't actually make a difference. Whereas we can find people struggling individually, whether it's a business owner, and whoever, and what we do for them is personalized. And we had a note here from Susan McDonald Osborne with the
Spokane Helpers Network.
Spokane Helpers Network. One of the greatest stories about seeing a need and just immediately dropping in, because we know there are food banks. We know there's a place for resources that are organized, structured, and we know there are people who have, needs who can't get out of the house. And so into that, Susan saw an opportunity to connect the resources to the people in need in a way that is just, unique and personalized rather than just, well, we need more money.
Right.
Yeah.
That segues nicely for me into, I'm curious, like, what can we as a group that meets together regularly, what can we do to shine more attention on the Susan McDonald Osborne, on the Helpers Network, on, there's just so many great things here in our community. And even, to counter the example that you gave, Dave, there's some great organizations that are big, that are doing great things. And it can be overwhelming where it's like, where do I can't give, even if I had $1 million.
12% of a very big fund is a very big impact.
True, that also is true, yeah. But how can we as a group elevate and highlight the people that are in our community that are doing, how can we do that better? So that's an open-ended question. I don't know, thoughts?
Well, I think the way that you open up spotlights for guest speakers on the show, on the event here is a great starting point. Especially with the thematic like Give Back Fridays. Being able to spotlight someone whether it's just the people in the room or if it's the internet at large with a podcast and stuff, it just, the first step's kind of awareness. You can't help people you don't know about. Like our friends over at Anovia,
Yes.
most people don't know them. Or they're what they manage, or I still don't know, but they opened up the doors for us once, and now I know they exist, which
Yes.
is the first step to being able to contribute, right? So I think that's a great thing. We've already shouted out Susan McDonald with the Spokane Helpers Network. She was here on the show, so that's a great way to build up a little bit more awareness as well. Yeah, I think opening up the guest spots for someone in the nonprofit sector doing good in the community each month is a great opportunity just to kind of start that conversation at the very least.
And Dave, why don't you talk to us about third-party endorsement?
Well, yeah, in the coaching that we do, we talk quite a bit about third-party endorsement because I can recommend, Leonidas to you, and I can say great things about him. If he turned around and said those same things about himself to you, you wouldn't buy it. But if I do it, you're going to take me on good faith until he proves you wrong. And so we're always constantly looking for those opportunities to do a third-party endorsement because it is so powerful.
Yes.
And it moves the needle much faster than I'm really cool and you need to, work with me. It just isn't gonna work that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Rob.
And that's one of the reasons why when Stephen posts something that particularly strikes me, I make an effort to actually repost it to my wall. Because one thing I understand.
Great commentary, I appreciate.
Because I understand that attention thing is, especially on social media, we don't control who sees us. It's driven by the algorithm. But the more I can share something written by somebody else, I'm endorsing them, and at the same point, I am exposing that to a new audience that he, likely does not have access to. So I can't drive business to him. That's not something that I'm going to be any better at than he is. But I can at least echo his voice out there so that more people are aware of it.
And it's really cool because you don't know who they know.
Mhm.
And then it keeps multiplying. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And that's why small businesses, we could have 12 people sitting at this table, all doing real estate like you. And they would not conflict with your being able to have a career.
Yeah.
They just would.
Yeah, there's enough houses that need to be
There's
sold.
enough housing, there's enough business for all of us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like we're seeing as far as actionable items too, a lot of times, especially when there's someone new here, I'll try to friend them on Facebook, but I am horrible about interacting with content on there. I'll see it, I'm like, oh, that's cool, and then I just go on. So, taking that next step and let's post that. Let's not only friend them, elevate what they're doing,
Right there.
elevate the conversation.
Well, what would it add up to if we had a list, just a number of all of the emails, addresses that you all have in your own private businesses? What would that add up to?
It's a lot.
And then you multiply it by factor of 5 or 10 or something like that on the people that they know. That's powerful.
Zane, I'd say even if you don't get to interact with the content, when you give them a like, maybe sharing the page with others is the next step for those who aren't interactive. Because I know I'm not, believe it or not very interactive. I post and get off, just my thing, maybe the first 5. But I've changed up to where on Facebook, not when I do like, I then go and share likes to all my followers. And that has substantially made a difference. Whereas if you don't have the time to maybe do, we all have, community, a group, we all have our special touches. And so if you're liking them, just even for me, I've gone the extra mile and just I think it's send to friends or for all your friends to have the option to like that page. And I've even had some friends go, hey, I needed a car detail, or hey, thank you for that gutter guy. I actually booked him the other day. I'm like, oh, so even those businesses that a lot, like, gutter cleaning and roofing and all those things that aren't typically publicizing, it's great to, a lot of people need that around this time.
There's something called affiliate marketing
Yes.
too, and that really gets crazy. If you have somebody else you affiliate with and they have 20,000 people that they
Right.
to follow them. Now there's 20,000 people looking at yours. No,
Yeah.
that's where it gets really interesting.
Plus, I think I would like to see that more on my feed than the free camper that you could win if you.
Oh, like 3 times,
Share
75.
this and tag 3 people.
Pay $10.
I get a little notification that like somebody shared something with
Yeah.
me or tagged me in something. I'm like, ooh, and then
Yeah. Tag more
So
people.
disappointing.
yeah. You're good. You're good. Okay.
So one of the things I'd also like to add, just generally speaking, when we talk about giving, sometimes giving sounds like some grandiose effort or some magnanimous event. But I think it was Teddy Roosevelt that said, like, do what you can with what you got where you are.
Mhm.
And I think that's a good little reminder anytime we have that giving conversation.
Yeah. That's good. I liked your earlier reframe, and I felt like I had already done a lot of talking, so I didn't want to go too much into it, but the giving back, I'm going to focus on that aspect of it, because for me, that's been a hang up, and I worked through it just in a different way, but I always felt like I had this sense that in order to give back, I had to achieve a certain milestone. Right, like giving back is like,
Yes.
I have arrived and I am giving back to you others that haven't arrived yet. And
Some bread peasants.
yeah, let them eat cake. And so like the dual problem with that is, one, I never felt like I arrived.
Yeah.
It's like, you're always chasing the next goalpost, the next thing. And then 2, there is this like attitude of like, I'm better than these people that I'm giving to. And it's like, that's the opposite of what, talking about seeing people and hearing people, and then like finding out, like, what do you need? How can I help you? Which also presents one really tricky challenge. I think most of us are really bad at asking for help
Yes.
and naming what we need. And so like, if anybody in this room were to ask me what I need right now, I'd be like, I don't know. Money? Just give me money. Like,
What do you need, bud?
oh no, don't do that to me. I just said, I don't know. So that's an interesting other side of this, is that I think we can maybe let ourselves off a little bit easy, where it's like, I asked Zane if he needed anything and he said no. So I'm gonna move on with my day, versus like, no, really, like, what's going on right now? And even like doing the hard work of troubleshooting, which is, we've run into this, I feel like, a lot in the space of life that we're in now. We have kids, they've got schedules, and it's like, we want to like make a meal for somebody. It's like, okay, well, we could probably do that on Thursday. No, I don't need food on Thursday. Okay. Or vice versa. We've been in situations where we've been really nice for food to show up, but we're like, I don't know how to ask for that, or
Right.
like timing wise, we're busy with this thing. So that's a interesting logistical problem
Yeah.
that I think leads to just throw money at it. Right? It's like, well, I don't really know how to help you, but here's $20, hope it helps. Which, to your point, like, here's water and a granola, versus like, here's money that who knows what's gonna happen. So I don't know, just a few little jumping off points there.
Is that though where we need to learn to be better listeners in terms of normal standard conversations? What I picked up on when you talked about that is, you're asking a direct question, looking to get a direct response that you can say, I can do that or I can't.
Mhm.
Whereas I find myself a lot overhearing conversations and listening in, and then thinking, I think I know where I can help.
Mm.
But now I have a specific question, and I'm thinking, somebody I'm, kind of interested in helping grow their business, but it's not like a job or, I'm not asking for anything, but I'm always listening when I'm around and I'm going, okay, here's sounds like this is not working well. This may be a problem. This may be a problem. And then when I think I have a solution, then I go ask a specific question. Hey, I overheard you talking about this. Is this an ongoing problem you'd like to solve? And if so, then, okay, I think I have a resource. Can I connect you?
Yeah.
And then it's up to them. But hopefully it comes across as being heard. That it's not just when I'm sitting down there raising my arms saying, I need help, but just people giving attention to what's going on and saying, yeah, let's do that. I think, not to create the sense of competition here, but the other day I was at Made with Love Bakery, and this person, just showed up and started filming out front of the bakery. And Tamar is looking over me going, is that yours? And I'm going, no, having nothing to do with me. And eventually the person came in, and it turned out to be a real estate agent that was just going around filming some of her favorite places in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And she put together a reel with, these are great places I love in the West Central neighborhood. And and then Tamar sent it out, because obviously she was she was told when that reel went live. And it's a really cool reel, just saying, it's Made with Love Bakery, there's Uprise Brewery, there's the Maxwell House, and just Indaba Coffee and things. And it was just quick little, here's places that deserve your attention.
Yeah.
And so those are great opportunities that we all have that capability.
Yeah.
To just go. I mean, that's why I'm adopting TikTok now. It's just trying to be more intentional about, I'm here, this is what I'm doing, and maybe shed some light on people that are important to me.
Awesome. You were about to say something right before Rob jumped in. No?
I don't know, you steal the show.
Ah.
I guess, I really, as a newer-ish business owner, with catering, it's just nice to hear all of the resources that are happening in the community that I also didn't even really know, especially with your Wednesday afternoons with Tamar. Personally know her, she's really awesome. So it just kind of gives some hope, just in the sense of like, just stepping in to the right area. It is really who you know. And from the sounds of what you were saying, building a relationship with those people to feel a little bit more comfortable with maybe opening up to those needs that they may have. So sometimes, they might not really know the needs they're in because they're so focused in or so busy with all the noise or whatever, that nice kind of sit down, how you're offering us lunch, we're sitting down here, it might be able to open up the room to kind of take some time to like relax the mind, just focus in on the topics, and then maybe even then go, oh, actually, I could benefit from that group, or, benefit from the phone calls that Zane, yeah, that Zane does, take a little stress off my business in just different ways beyond the money or the financial help. Like that might be able to kill some time to be able to focus in more on, employee management or scheduling. So I'm just really taking in some mental notes just on the little things that are happening. And I think it's very beneficial for small businesses, beyond, how everyone can all use financial help, but also the personal relationship with that business, with the resources that you may carry or the person you may know, and it's just really awesome because you can only think about so much in the time. And most of us are probably thinking of our clients or how to, book something or, lock something in more than just also the operational timing of to keep it running. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Like what you said about hope too, because that's one of the biggest things, right? Like I've been, especially in this last year here we have so many people on, but I've been to a few other networking events and you see the people doing so many good things in the community. And when you are bogged down with a lot of the negative stuff that's happening, concerns that we have, it's nice to be like, okay, well, there are still people that are out there caring for others, trying to like, and not everybody is in it for themselves. There are awesome people, and especially in Spokane. I think we gloss over how many people are seeing needs and doing something to help. And it doesn't have to be huge.
Yeah.
I think a big goal that we could have as a group for Friday conversations is how can we get what we're doing here and the shout outs that we're giving onto a more easily accessible platform that you can go to and be like, I need help with housing. Okay, I'm gonna go to John. I need, et
Right.
cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Maybe even, I don't know if you have a website for this or a page, is building a form.
Mhm.
And just click here and a little bit more of like, how can we help form? And then you can refer to someone else.
Benefit for that would definitely be kind of making it more of a local thing only, just to kind of just target Spokane. Making like a nice little webpage with some just available resources would be a great idea. Something we could all do together, for sure.
And that's, I'm glad that you made that pivot, Leonidas, in German. I like that continuation of it. Something that we've talked a little bit internally about that this is great. We all get together and have a great conversation. Sometimes I leave it feeling like, man, like all we did was talk. And to an extent, and like what you said, I agree, like to an extent, sometimes that's what we need. We just need space to verbally process. It's what I needed last night when I just, and you know,
You just dumped, it's fine.
it's a
Just dumped.
I did, and it's a rhythm that we've
Keeps
just
doing that to you.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
I do it to him.
we do it for each other. Like
It's mutual.
it's once I discovered the language for it, I was a lot more comfortable with it. And the language I like is just verbally processing. We do so much internal processing that sometimes like the biggest, in fact, I've had a few times, I think Leonidas has helped me tremendously with this. I'm like, okay, I gotta, and I start talking and it's like, I have this question, like, help me think through this. And by the time I finish talking, I've already solved it. Like, I just needed to verbally process. So we'll do that with each other.
So find somebody that can just follow you around constantly, and then you can just talk. Just
Okay, you've talked enough today.
But you guys don't understand, he literally follows John around the house.
Yeah.
You have to understand, that's a
My
literal.
personal, and for anybody watching at home, anybody that doesn't know the dynamic, this is my oldest son, Leonidas. And we do have a great working relationship. We bounce ideas off of each other. It's a great thing. So I'm giving him a hard time, but genuinely like, he makes me proud.
And across the table, for those that also don't know, not just his sons here, you know, Melissa, you know this.
Yes,
pretty well.
we are married to each other. We weren't just jumping on each other.
He's not a therapist.
Sometimes they're, it gets messy. That being said, sometimes just talking doesn't feel like enough. And I know a lot of what we're talking about here is like, it doesn't always have to be enough, right? There is no enough, but I would like to see like this energy where it's like, okay, like here's some ideas, like we actually put pen to paper, put zeros and ones to computer programming and build out the thing. And so we've talked about different ideas and there's a lot of different things in the works, but like, let's get into it and let's set an action plan. Like, okay, and accountability even within for ourselves, like, you know, something I'm working on is, and I don't have any good example to follow that with, but like, then you guys all say, good, next week, tell us how that's going. So, just a little bit of that mixed in. And so I'm glad that we made that pivot.
Well, maybe I'm a little off, but Live Local, everyone knows what that is, right? Live Local Northwest.
Actually,
the clothing
I-
company that's in
No,
Henry
no.
Arch?
No, so that's the sign.
Okay.
But Live Local, is like Spokane Independent, they kind of work together. They're a nonprofit that has lists of businesses that are starting up. However, even if you don't have a website, I wouldn't be surprised if that form that you had, they could integrate on their own website, maybe even talking with partnering. So maybe, that, because it's a lot of business that, or people who also go to look for local businesses for free. You should get acquainted, any new businesses, it's a free platform for those, and people can go on it and, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think even if, there's just little things, we could integrate with too, with the group, with those kinds of questions on how can we help.
Also be a good idea to try to find everybody has similar ideas to this and then collaborate. It'd be a pretty cool thing to do.
For sure.
That was something, I mean, we were talking about over lunch and things, there are a lot of resources around Spokane, to be shared. And, you brought up Live Local, startupspokane.com is another one
Yeah.
that's run by the library and has a lot of listed resources. And it actually ties into, and again, it seems overkill because there's so many companies that do this. But a challenge is meeting people where they're at and being able to, so I've actually, started a project, conversation with Brooke, to actually look at building, a Friday Conversations directory where we start gathering and sharing because, the data is free.
Yeah.
Meeting people when they're looking for something and they have an intent or a need right now is the one we want to be in front of them. And if we're an opportunity to work together to make that happen, or we collaborate with Innovia, Live Local, Startup Spokane, whatever, the thing is, we all need to become at least passingly familiar with what resources
Yeah.
are available.
Yes.
The other interesting thing that comes out of the stuff that I do is, you have one kind of profession that works well with a certain niche. But what we miss sometimes is the fact that there are 20 professions all serving that same person. We just don't see it. A life insurance agent that covers a house and a home and cars and all of that. If they have a pool, if they have electrical needs, painting, contracting, landscaping, you can just go down a list of 20 other things and they're all looking for that same person. But they don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
We can change that.
I think Joshua does a good part when he'll post those alignable events.
Yeah.
He does a good job of facilitating that with having kind of, with the name tags, kind of color codes based on who you serve best. And then you collaborate, you get to sit next to those people. So like if you're in that home services business, you might be a roofer, might sit next to a lender, who might sit next to a real estate agent, who might sit next to a pool cleaner. And it's kind of
Wow.
similar. You do different things, but you do them for the same person. And on the theme of giving back, like I think that's one way that Joshua, who's not here, usually super active in the group.
Yeah.
Joshua Jamerson, he that's one of his ways to give, right? He has this opportunity, he has this event, and instead of letting people go in chaotically, he just gives a little bit of guidance to help make that a more productive time for people to network there.
Yeah.
Which again, kind of goes back on the theme of giving, doesn't necessarily have to be, most people would look at that and not even see that as giving. It doesn't
Sure.
have to be the typical philanthropic, you hit a certain milestone, now you give to the peasants type thing. Like
Right.
giving can just be what you're good at, or thoughts or ideas or conversations or ear. Just that it's more of a spirit than a thing itself.
I like what you said. Stephen. In my business, I know my name Compassion Catering, a lot of times it came across as free catering and all that. And so I really had to put my foot down and realize, some boundaries with giving. And I realized one thing that I was able to incorporate instead of, because a lot of the times my past, what happened was I was not realizing that things cost. So, oh yeah, I've got some things going on. I love to help that nonprofit for free. And realize I had to really set some boundaries because with COGs, cost of goods sold and all that, the numbers weren't adding up and it put my business at risk. And so now how I help nonprofits or those who are trying to raise funding but still needing food is I won't charge for my time. However, I still charge, appropriately for the food, the labor and things like that if I'm having some staff helping depending on the sizing of the event. So I learned over time, also not to be taken advantage of, not to always, sometimes you just can't always give something for free, especially when you have materials at hand, roofing and all those things. For me, food and things have gotten a little bit more expensive in that end. So now, one thing, I don't advertise it, but a lot of the nonprofits nearby, we try to partner to, keep their ticket sales affordable, but also being able to, have quality food now instead of just, whatever they can get and still make the event enjoyable. So I'm still kind of learning how to market that or, better word that, but it's been something I've been in the works and been able to help with different nonprofits when it comes to more affordable fooding for those events, that like auctions and things like that for the community. So.
Yeah, and I think by default, everybody wants to give something, at least, even if it's
Yeah.
just a small thing, everybody wants to give something. So being able to set a boundary for yourself and be like, hey, I can't help you, so I'm gonna send you to, say, if we create a website, I'm gonna send you to a website, fill out the form, and you will probably find somebody else who can help you.
Right.
And I think that gets back to Zane, what you were very early on talking about like the hesitancy to engage with somebody for fear that I won't be able to help them.
Yep.
And then I'll feel guilty or they'll give me guilt, kind of like, how dare you, you have all this money and I'm sitting here hungry. Like just
Right.
that it's a lot of it is a mindset
Yes.
thing of, it's like, once you get out of that, over the bubble, right? And I even think about this with introvert, extrovert, like Dave, with you helping people show up. I've been doing this kind of thing so long that to me, the idea that anybody can't just talk to a room of people is like foreign. Like, I'm like, what? People struggle with that? No, it's like the movie Elf, like singing's easy. You just move your voice, it's like anybody, if you could sing in private, you could sing in public. Like, that's just like, obviously. And so I think that I didn't get there in one step. It was showing up and it didn't go great, or showing up one time and it's like, okay, that was okay. And so there is this sort of like, I've now interacted with enough people where like, I'm genuinely curious, what is your need? Knowing full well, I may not be able to help you with it. And Melissa helps me because I want to help everybody. She's like, you can't help everybody. Like, you can't help the whole world. So like the more times that you just engage with somebody and say like, hey, I showed up, I saw you, you matter. I can't help you with that. And maybe I know somebody, or at least I'm going to keep it in my mind. In certain vernaculars, I'll be praying for you. Like there's different things that you can leave that note with, but to walk into it knowing I might not be able to solve your problem. I might not even be able to point you in a good direction, but I can at least hear it and sit with it with you in whatever it is that you're sitting in. So
Again, I think kind of goes back to what Rob was saying too, right? When we start these conversations, if we have them without the intent of solving, then that allows us to be attentive, to be listening to what their needs are and really get a good feel for that. And then as we're actually listening, if something comes up, great.
yeah.
But if we don't have that expectation of I'm listening for what I can do to help, then we can actually be there and hear what they need.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really think that the common theme is really listening, right? And then really hearing them. And I feel like that's a little bit different, listening and hearing. And having those things really in the back of our pocket, like, oh, you need this, I actually know a person. And I was on a call yesterday, there's a group of women and we were expressing some of our needs. And there was a lady that had a very specific need. And there were 4 of us that were like, actually, I know exactly who I can send you. And just sent that off to her and she was just blown away. And there weren't that many of us on the call, but it was just like, we've got to help each other to support each other, but we've really got to listen and hear what those people are saying and what their actual need is. And have those, I mean, we surround ourselves with people, these people in this room all have very unique gifts. And there's some people that I can't coach. And I tell them, I'm sorry, I just don't think I can help you, but I know who to send you to. Nice. Because that need that they have is not something that I can actually help them with. And I do that. And I know that there's people in this room that you do that. But we've got to know what other people's skills are too, so that we can hand them off. Yeah, hand them off. Or, here's a referral for you. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, we are at 1 o'clock, or 2 o'clock, believe it or not. So gonna wrap this up. I really want to thank everybody that's here in the room, everybody that joined us online, anybody that's watching on YouTube. We really encourage to put a bow on what Melissa just said. A huge aspect of this is just being in the same room with people. And I loved, we at lunch, everybody's different places, different mixing and mingling, but just hearing the conversations that are going on. And I could hear the bits and pieces that I was hearing. These weren't like, well, what did you do for Christmas? You guys are getting into it. So if you have the ability to, we're here every Friday, come for lunch, stay for the live video. Even if you're not great at talking on camera, that's practice, just a little bit, do a little bit better each time. Come in.
We'll try not to make fun of you.
Yeah, no promises. We go easy on our first timers.
Yeah.
By the time you're like a Leonidas, we're gonna tease you, give you a hard time. I don't remember what we gave him a really hard time earlier. Just hanging out.
Just follows you around.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. So thank you, everybody. We are gonna wrap this up and we'll see you all next week.